I was having your boy Rico from RicoScores, and now it's time to scout the enemy. And of course, this will be the first of two matchups that we have to go against the Giants for. So, hey, man, let's go ahead and get this first one out the way. Let's go ahead and sweep these boys. So, this whole breakdown is how we can beat the Giants. We're going to bring in a lot of advanced stats. And, of course, injuries play a large role into this situation. Is Daniel Jones playing? Are any starting Giants offensive linemen playing? How about the Commander side? Kendall Fuller didn't participate in practice Wednesday and Thursday. Is he good to go? All of that type of stuff. So this is going to be a big time injury report, and there's also going to be a lot of random advanced stats brought in. I mean, there are some stats where it's like something's got to give. The Commanders are the worst at something, and then the Giants are the worst at the other thing, and it's like, man, somebody can't be the worst at it this upcoming game on Sunday. Something's got to give type of thing. So I'm really excited to talk about this, man. Of course, we play the Giants 1 p.m. in New Jersey, Sunday, October 22nd, just in case if you didn't know, and I will be live streaming that, of course. But before we dive into this full preview and breakdown, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Again, I will be live streaming this upcoming Giants game. I'm gonna live stream as many games as I can. I mean, I'm not sure if I'll be able to like live stream the Thanksgiving game because I'll probably be with my family. That's why I hate when we play on Thanksgiving, because I want to be able to live stream every game in the season. But of course, I went to the Falcons game. And, you know, I'm digressing right now, but I will be, you can bet on the fact that I will be live streaming starting at 12:30 on Sunday, because I always like to live stream a little bit early so that we can, you know, get into the chat. Everybody can get pumped up. We can start to get hype. We can talk about a few things, make some predictions, all of that type of stuff. So, hey, man, make sure you stay tuned. Of course, I'll be coming with my review video after the video, the game ends, and the call-in show live stream probably the next day, maybe at night, maybe Sunday night. We'll see how everything's going. And without further ado, man, sorry for the long intro. Let's get it.
You tell your family you can be a commander.
All right, so first of all, shouts out to 10 Top Podcast for presenting a couple of these statistics, especially these first two. They bring up a great point. What happens when the number 32 scoring offense faces the number 30 scoring defense? Again, it's like something's got to give. They don't score points, and our defense so far has allowed a lot of points. So which one's going to give? Are the Giants going to score more than they usually do, or is our defense going to stop an opposing offense from scoring as much as they normally do against us so far this season? I'm leaning towards us getting the advantage. I think the defense is finally turning a corner, but for some reason under Jack Del Rio, our defense just sucks the first few weeks, and then we just go on this big streak under Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio. After like 6 games, we just get hot. We go on a streak. Our defense starts to become locked down. I don't know what it is. So I'm leaning towards us on that one. But we have a few more situations like that. Also, shouts out to 10 Top Podcast for bringing this up. Aside from the second half versus the Cardinals, the Giants have only scored 1 offensive touchdown. 1 in 5.5 games. Other than that come from behind victory that they had, again, that second half against the Cardinals, they've only scored 1 offensive touchdown. Again, which one's going to give, man? Which one's going to give? I mean, there's some crazy stats with the Giants right now. I mean, just on October 15th, that late night game against the Buffalo Bills, that Monday night game, they took their first offensive snap with a lead this season. Like, it's not necessarily their first time leading because, again, they beat the Cardinals, but that was their first time having a lead and then taking an offensive snap while having the lead. That's insane. Shouts out to my sports update for that one. Also, I've already talked about this in a previous video earlier this week, but for the first time in the Super Bowl era, a team has finished the game with more passing yards, more rushing yards, fewer fumbles lost, fewer interceptions, and fewer field goals missed than their opponent, and still lost. That's what the Giants just did against the Buffalo Bills Monday night. They are the first team in NFL history to have more passing yards, more rushing yards, fewer fumbles lost, fewer interceptions, and fewer field goals missed than their opponent and still lose a game in the Super Bowl era. Teams were 134-0 until the Giants just were so bad they somehow found a way to make history in the wrong way. Shouts out to them boys though. Also, it's really interesting too because when you're looking at the hardest remaining schedules according to Pro Football Focus, I'm assuming they're just taking into account opposing teams' records. The Giants have the hardest schedule remaining in the NFL, but hey, we don't get off much easier. We have the third hardest schedule. You have the Giants number 1, the Broncos 2nd, the Commanders 3rd, Chargers 4th, and the Eagles 5th. So, hey, man, keep that in mind. But while the Giants are 1-5, let's not forget the fact that they have played the Cowboys, the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Dolphins, and the Bills. Those are the teams they've lost to. I mean, if you're taking into account the fact that they beat the Cardinals, that team is tough too. That the Cardinals beat the Cowboys. Their only win is the team that beat the Cowboys. So it's just like, man, it's tough. I mean, between the Cowboys, 49ers, Seahawks, Dolphins, and Bills, those teams are a combined 21-8. Those are the teams that the Giants are losing to. The Giants haven't lost to a sorry team yet, technically. I mean, I guess you could argue maybe the Seahawks are the least good team they've lost to so far. They've played a lot of juggernauts. So, hey, man, you could honestly say from their point of view, this upcoming game against us may be one of their easiest games of the schedule, arguably the easiest, because again, the Cardinals beat the Cowboys, and then they beat the Cardinals, so they're probably looking at us like we're food. At the same time, we're looking at them like they're food. So that's why this is going to be a really interesting situation. Again, we're going to get to the big time injury reports for both teams later, because that's going to play a large part in this. Now, Daniel Jones himself, if he plays, highly doubt he plays. We're going to talk about that with the injury part as well. But just to give you some advanced stats, because I saw these stats, and it's like, man, I got to give y'all these even if Daniel Jones doesn't play. But it's really interesting because Daniel Jones's record versus teams with a 500 record or higher: 0-7 2019, 0-6 2020, 3-4 2021, 2-6 2022, and then 0-4 so far this season. But he's 5-27 against teams 500 or higher. And it's crazy the contract that he got. He really got to thank the Commanders for the contract that he got. Like, it's literally us, because Daniel Jones versus everyone else is 17-35 against the Commanders, 5-1-1. That's really bad, dog. So it's almost like, do we prefer to go against anybody else other than Daniel Jones when it comes to the Giants? Because he's a Commanders killer. Again, he's 17-35 versus everybody else, 5-1 against us. Come on, dog. I don't know what it is. And it's a lot of different factors. It's not just Daniel Jones, but it just seems like he turns into White Vic when he plays us. It is so bad. But just an update, and we're going to get to this in more detailed fashion when we get to the injury report part of this. But of course, Daniel Jones is dealing with a neck injury since his Week 5 loss against the Dolphins, and he's just been like almost maybe ready to play, maybe could play. I mean, he was cleared to throw as of October 18th, 2 days ago, but he's still not cleared for contact. We'll get to all of that later. Again, dealing with that neck injury. They're also, so they're trying out quarterbacks like Matt Barkley and Ian Book. Then they're also trying out receivers. You know, their receivers are always hurt. So they're having tryouts for receivers, having tryouts for quarterbacks. I mean, this isn't even a complete team. And don't even get me started on the offensive line. We're going to get there with the injury report part as well. When it comes to pass protection from Pro Football Focus and ESPN, look at this graphic right here, man. Like, come on, dog. Come on, look at the Giants. Look at us. First of all, look at us. That's great news. I mean, we're up there with some of the best offensive lines technically. Again, I've already done full breakdowns as to how a lot of these sacks that Sam Howell has taken are on him. The majority of them are. But our offensive line is looking pretty good. But look at that Giants O-line all the way on the left side towards the bottom. Like, come on, dog. Come on, Giants. Get it together, man. And so what's even crazier about this is that when you're looking at the past games that the Giants have played, even just going back to the Bills, if anything, they were healthier those games than they're going to be coming against us. I mean, they're having players getting hurt in practice this week. Like, it's bad. Like, we're going to go against the most hurt Giants have been this season. And they've already been pretty hurt, especially on the offensive line. It's only getting worse coming up to this game against us. So, hey, man, there's absolutely no excuses. A really interesting stat: the Commanders are giving up the most sacks in the NFL, while the Giants have gotten the fewest. So again, one of those, something's got to give. The Commanders give up the most sacks, the Giants get the least amount of sacks in the NFL. Which one's gonna give? I'm kind of leaning towards us on that one as well, but who knows, man, because Kayvon Thibodeau hasn't really had a great game outside of playing us. I mean, he's had moments, but his best games so far of his short career have been against us. So can we stop and not let that happen? Also, shouts out to Nick Gates, because this is his revenge game. Our starting center was a Giant starting offensive lineman last year. Another reason why they're a little struggling a little bit on the offensive line, because we took one of their starters and made him one of our starters, on top of the fact that they have all of the injuries that they have. And again, we're going to get to all of that once we get to the injury part of this. But the New York Giants have a total of 5 sacks all season long, and Kayvon Thibodeau is 4 of them. So, hey, man, again, we got to shut this down, man. If we could just stop Kayvon Thibodeau, make sure he doesn't do anything. The rest of the Giants' entire team has 1 sack right now. Just shut down Kayvon Thibodeau and Sam Howell should be good, man. Just completely shut that man down. Focus on him. We'll figure out the rest later. Shouts out to Pedro Smith for this stat too. Make sure you subscribe to his YouTube and everything. Follow him on Twitter. Sam Howell has been sacked on 26 drives. On those drives, the Commanders have only scored a touchdown 2 times. So if we get sacked, we have a 2 in 26 chance, 1 in 13th chance of scoring a touchdown. We cannot allow sacks. And again, for reasons I've already presented, hopefully this is the time that we don't allow Sam Howell to get sacked a bunch of times. But when he does, it pretty much kills drives. I've already presented y'all those advanced stats in previous videos this week as well. If you want deeper dives into Sam Howell and how his sacks are a problem, but how he's still been great even in spite of all of that, go check out my previous video. But yeah, keeping it pushing. Shouts out to Ref the District, always providing a lot of great stats on Twitter. Make sure you follow him as well. The Giants give up an average of 147.5 rushing yards per game. That's insane. That's 31st in the NFL. While the Commanders average 4.3 yards per carry, which is tied for 11th in the NFL. But sadly, we're only averaging 21 attempts per game, which is 30th. So we're a top 12 rushing team efficiency wise. We just don't run the ball much. We're 30th in rushing attempts, but at the same time, the Giants are almost dead last in rushing yards allowed per game. So it's simple. Don't overthink it. Just run the ball and kill these people, man. I mean, I feel like we've shown enough deep threat wise with Sam Howell's arm and stuff to make them at least take a couple of people out of the box just to make sure they don't give up big plays. And then I think we can take advantage of that by running the ball against one of the worst run stopping teams in the NFL. And again, we're talking about sacks, giving up sacks, and how sacks kill our drives, and the Giants are terrible at getting sacks, but the Commanders are really good at giving them. At the same time, if we can run the ball, Sam Howell should be sacked less. And maybe once they start to stack the box and stop the run, then we can start attacking them deep down the field. It's complementary football. I hate the phrase. I'm tired of hearing it, but that's a real thing. Complementary football is a real thing. It's a definitely a concrete thing that teams need to use. One thing helps another. That thing helps the other thing. You got to be good in multiple facets of the game to be a consistent winner, to be a true playoff contender like we hope to be. Now, also, lowest passer rating allowed by linebackers so far entering week 7 in NFL. So from the past 6 weeks in the NFL, which linebackers have allowed the lowest passer rating? Now, of course, the 49ers have the #1 linebacker. They have the best linebacker core in the NFL. It's Oren Burks with a 29.7, who's allowed the lowest by far. But then second is Jamin Davis, Commanders linebacker, with a 43.2. And then the Giants have their own guy in Bobby Okereke. He's 7th, allowing a 52.6 passer rating. But again, Jamin Davis is second out of all linebackers in the NFL, with technically having the best coverage. So, hey, that's really noteworthy, and we're going to need that, man. I know Cameron Curl's probably going to be matched up against Darren Waller more times than not, but you never know, man. Hey, Jamin Davis was out there out wide and got the interception against Bijan Robinson, literally covering them like an outside corner, all the way the furthest away from the quarterback, the closest to the sideline. He may be matched up against guys like Saquon like that and stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes, or maybe some tight ends, maybe some slot receivers coming across the middle. So, hey, man, we're going to need that Jamin Davis. We're going to need that big time. The only time he's really gotten beat, he held the guy to make sure it wasn't for a touchdown. So, hey, man, at least at the very least, if he does get beat, he knows how to just accept the penalty rather than allow the touchdown. I appreciate the heads up play there. Not good, but also not the worst it can be. Also, man, look at this chart right here. The Commanders are one of the best defenses at forcing turnover-worthy plays from quarterbacks this season. Now, granted, going against Desmond Ridder, getting 3 interceptions and a couple of more interceptions should have happened. So, hey, man, we're getting busy. This defense, it has been bend but don't break, basically. They'll allow all the yards, that 20 to 20, giving it all up. But once they, things get in the crunch time, they're able to force at least turnover-worthy plays, even if it's not turnover exactly. And it's crazy. It's so ironic because we drafted Emmanuel Forbes to be the turnover guy because our defense without him last year couldn't get turnovers. Then we bench him. Our defense without him this year can get turnovers. And we literally drafted him to be the guy to get the turnovers. It's really confusing. Moving on. Also, really interesting. Shouts out to Grant Paulson. Some Commander Series highs against the Giants with the two teams meeting on Sunday. Passing yards is Jay Schroeder with 420 passing yards in 1986. Can Sam Howell surpass that? Rushing yards, Larry Brown with 191 in 1972. Can Brian Robinson surpass that? Receiving yards, Gary Clark with 241 in 1986 against the Giants. Can Terry McLaurin pass that? Highly doubt it, but it would be nice. And then sacks, Ken Carvey with 4 in 1997. Can Chase Young, Montez Sweat, maybe Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen surpass that? Not very likely, but if I had to put my money on anybody, it's Chase Young, because Chase Young is leading the NFL these past 2 weeks in pass rush win rate. So he's technically been the best pass rusher in the NFL these past 2 weeks, which is really interesting. Now let's get to this injury report. And it's not looking good for the Giants side at all, man. It's looking pretty ugly. Now for us, it was looking ugly throughout the week. Like Wednesday and Thursday, I was super worried. Kendall Fuller didn't participate in practice. Jonathan Allen, Christian Holmes, James Smith-Williams were limited all week. And then on Wednesday, you had Cameron Curl limited, Chris Paul limited, Montez Sweat limited. But then all of those guys, including Benjamin St-Juste and Samuel Cosme, were full participants on Thursday. So we're good to go. Because even Kendall Fuller, he said it yesterday. Yeah, I'll be out there, even though he hadn't practiced the first couple of days in the week. First couple of practices, he missed all of those practices. He was confident. He was like, yeah, I'll play. And so I took his word for it. He said that yesterday. And then today they came out and said that the Commanders officially came out with their game statuses and everyone's a full go. I think this is probably the first game all season that nobody is questionable or out. Like nothing. Everybody seems to be fully healthy as far as the game statuses go going into this game. So this may be the healthiest we've been all season technically, which is really interesting. We even got FL Bada back for that last game against the Falcons. Meanwhile, on the Giants side, it's ugly, man. I mean, according to Wednesday and Thursday practices, do not participate. You had offensive linemen Matt Pert. You had John Michael Schmitz, a guy that I wanted us to draft really bad. My Georgia Bulldog, Andrew Thomas, all did not participate in practice Wednesday and Thursday. Then limited wise, you had Saquon Barkley, kicker Graham Gano, even their kicker. Defensive back Adoree Jackson, I wanted him when he was a free agent. Quarterback Daniel Jones, of course, and then offensive lineman Evan Neal, who is not off to a great start in his career so far at all. Then they had a bunch of full participants, and then you also had Shane Lemieux go to IR as of Thursday. I mean, poor babies, man. Them boys is out there going through it, man. You had Justin Pugh. I mean, you remember this clip. I don't know if y'all saw it against the Buffalo Bills, but you had him basically get pulled off the couch, like even he said, to come play against the Buffalo Bills on Monday night. Here you go.
Justin Pugh, straight off the couch.
And then, I mean, it's just all kinds of chaos going over there. Josh Ezeudu with a toe injury was placed on injured reserve Tuesday. He was playing left tackle while Andrew Thomas, dealing with a hamstring injury, was out since week 1. And so now the Giants are basically down both of their top 2 left tackle options. So basically the equivalent for us, just imagine if Charles Leno and Cornelius Lucas were hurt. Like, what will we do? Like, who's next? We already have been complaining about Andrew Wiley, even though we haven't complained about him as much the last few weeks. But imagine Charles Leno and Cornelius Lucas getting hurt. That's basically the equivalent. And you could argue it's even worse for them because I like Andrew Thomas more than out of all 4 tackles between Josh Ezeudu, Andrew Thomas, Charles Leno, and Cornelius Lucas. I like Andrew Thomas the most. Now, maybe I'm biased because I'm a Georgia Bulldog, but I do feel like he's the best tackle out of the 4. So the Giants are losing that. That's crazy. And then also Justin Pugh, again, appears to be next in line. The clip that I just showed you, who said he even admitted he just came off the couch. And he's currently on the practice squad right now. He's probably going to end up starting at tackle for those guys. And then during the week, literally just yesterday, I think, Shane Lemieux tore his biceps during practice, actually on Wednesday, and was placed on IR Thursday. So now the Giants have signed offensive lineman Sean Harlow after Cowboys practice squad. These are 2 practice squad players that look like they're going to probably end up starting against us right now. It's chaos for these boys right now, man. There's no way. There's no excuse. Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, John Ridgeway, all of y'all guys. I don't know where Fadarian Mathis is. I mean, it's definitely been enough time where if he were healthy enough, he could legally come off of IR, but I guess he's still not ready. FL Body was ready immediately, but Fadarian Mathis still struggling. But either way, there's no excuse for y'all guys. It's no excuse for the secondary as well, because the reason that our defensive line struggles to get to the quarterback at a lot of time, and why we always seem to get a lot of pressures, QB hits, and hurries, but not enough actual sacks, strip sacks, forced fumbles, all of that type of stuff, is because our secondary needs to cover a little bit better. We need to force the quarterback to hold onto the ball just a little bit longer so those guys can get there. So secondary, we need you as well, but there's still no excuses for this defensive line with the offensive line that they're going against. Because of injuries, this is going to probably more than likely be the worst offensive line that this defensive line has gone against all season. Literally. I mean, they already have JC Hasenauer on IR. Again, you have Joshua Zudu, Shane Lemieux now on IR. You got Andrew Thomas out, John Michael Schmitz out, Evan Neal's questionable, and I mean, if I'm a Giants fan, I probably don't even want him to play. Again, Matt Pert is already out. It's ugly for these boys, man. It's terrible. And Ron Rivera spoke on the banged up Giants offensive line, because it's definitely got to be a talking point how hurt they are. That definitely has to be like an obvious thing they notice when they're discussing the game plan going into this game and stuff. He said, quote, "To think they're just going to line up and open the door is crazy. These guys are professionals. Doesn't matter what the record is. Divisional games bring a little something extra." And I completely agree, but this offensive line is so hurt. Literally no excuses. If we don't get at least 4 or 5 sacks this upcoming game, I'm extremely disappointed. Now, as far as Daniel Jones goes, now October 18th, 2 days ago, Brian DeBall said quarterback Daniel Jones will practice, and he did end up practicing. He was limited and stuff like that. He was cleared to throw, all of that type of stuff, but not cleared for contact. And then he came out and said later on after practice that Daniel Jones' season is not over. He's convinced he'll play again in 2023. He said when he's healthy, the quarterback job is his. There's no competition with Tyrod Taylor. But what I take from that is that he's saying that he will play again in 2023. That doesn't sound like he's optimistic about him playing in a couple of days. His whole thing is Daniel Jones will play this year at some time. So it's like obvious Daniel Jones won't play against us. Like, I don't know why they keep playing around with it. Rosenberg over there, you know, he's in New York, but he's a Burgundy and Gold fan. Rosenberg at the radio, he's apparently he has some insight on the situation. He said, quote, "Daniel Jones is not playing this week. This is what Daboll does, particularly against Washington. Since Jones kills us, he's not going to play. I also think Tyrod is better for them right now with O-line issues anyway," unquote. And that's a pretty good point. But that brings up the point too. Shouts out to AB everything. I'm assuming he spelled it like that because of DMV. That's how y'all pronounce that. Y'all know I'm country, so I say everything. But ABG everything, like literally ERRYTHING on Twitter. Make sure you follow him as well. He put up a survey. He said, "Commanders fans, who would you rather the Commanders go up against at quarterback?" And 77.3% picked Tyrod Taylor, and I'm one of them. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen enough from Daniel Jones that now, if you're talking about hurt Daniel Jones versus healthy Tyrod Taylor, maybe I'll pick hurt Daniel Jones. But if we're just like in a vacuum, Daniel Jones fully healthy, Tyrod Taylor fully healthy, I prefer to go against Tyrod Taylor. I've seen enough, again, with Daniel Jones being 5-1-1 against us, but terrible against everybody else. I'm sick of it. So I guess I picked Tyrod Taylor for that reason. But then again, banged up Daniel Jones with a neck injury, I guess we would prefer to play him, but he's not going to play. Giants week 7 game statuses, I don't know why they're trying to keep it a secret. Again, Rosenberg just told you, and I've already told you just based on everything we've heard and seen, he's not playing. But so far, his only outs are tackle Matt Pert, center John Michael Schmitz, and tackle Andrew Thomas. Again, like I've already told you, the questionables are Adoree Jackson, the cornerback, quarterback Daniel Jones, and tackle Evan Neal, like I've already presented to y'all as well. Daniel Jones, I don't know why they have him as questionable. Again, like Rosenberg said, it's just a strategy to keep the Commanders off their game. Daniel Jones is not playing. When you're saying things like he will play 2023, that clearly shows that he's not playing in a couple of days. Like that's what you standing 10 toes on. He'll play in 2023. I mean, if he were playing this week, that would be obvious. So the fact you even got to say that. But moving on. Now, of course, the game predictions are about half and half. Daniel Jeremiah has the Giants beating us, but C. Wolf has us winning. Adam Rank has the Giants winning by 1 point. Daniel Jeremiah has the Giants winning by 1 point as well with a different score. M. Grant has us winning. M. Sessler has the Giants winning. Maurice Jones-Drew has us winning. G. Gordon has the Giants winning by 1 point. That's amazing. N. Shook has us winning. Ed Holm has the Giants winning, and then K. Patra has us winning. So it's really interesting. It's pretty much half and half, 5-5 from the NFL Network picks, and I'm not surprised. I mean, when you get blown out the way you did against the Bears, nobody's gonna pick us. When the Bears drop 40 points on you, nobody's gonna pick us. Doesn't matter how bad the Giants are, doesn't matter their record, doesn't matter how hurt the offensive line is, because the Bears had injuries as well, and I remember complaining about that live, like, what are we doing as we're losing the game? Why are we still losing? They're hurt coming into the game, and they're gaining more injuries as the game is going on, and we're not that hurt. So it's just like, I'm not surprised. I don't knock anybody for picking the Giants against us. Chris Sims and his co-host picked the Giants as well, barely, but it's just like, how can you trust the Commanders after the way we looked in Landover at home against the Bears, the way we performed? And this game is against the Giants in New Jersey. I wouldn't trust us either if I wasn't a Commanders fan. I'm not gonna lie. I'm surprised it's half and half. I'm surprised more people didn't pick the Giants. Also shouts out to Zach Selby for this. Just a reminder for how close Washington's games with the Giants have been in Ron Rivera's tenure. The outcome of those games have been decided by an average of 4.7 points. No matter how bad either team is, no matter how good either team is, no matter how hurt either team is, so far since Rivera's been here, every game has been decided by an average of 4.7 points of a difference. That's it. And if you take out the 2021 finale when Washington won 22-7, you take that out, it's only been an average of 2.6 points per game as far as a difference. So expect a close game, because these games are always close. Now I'm hoping we can go in there and dominate them like the way we should have done against the Bears and win by 2 or more scores, but you never know. I mean, I would definitely argue the Falcons are better than the Giants. And we beat the Falcons in Atlanta, but again, the way we played against the Bears, who knows who's going to show up? Are we going to get the way that we played against the Eagles, or are we going to get the way we played against the Bears? Who knows, man? I mean, if we would have played the way we played against the Eagles against the Bears, we would have beat them by 20 or 30. But it's just, we're so inconsistent. We don't know what team's going to show up any given day. We play to the level of our competition, and it's really annoying. It's really, really annoying. And again, to re-emphasize this, like I mentioned earlier, the Giants are 1-5, but their 5 losses are to the Cowboys, the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Dolphins, and the Bills. Let's not forget that, man. This is not your typical 1-5 team. Also, before we get up out of here, for those of y'all that may be putting money on this game, and I know I gave y'all all of these different factors about who's better at what. Our D-line versus their O-line. Their D-line versus our O-line. Injuries, all of that type of stuff. Turnover-worthy plays. People being hurt. Daniel Jones not playing. Their entire offensive line not playing. The thing you may want to take into account the most, though, is who's reffing the game. Remember the crew that reffed the game where they called that stupid penalty on Terry McLaurin? They did everything in their power to give the Giants the win. And you remember also the Curtis Samuel literally hugging them way before the ball gets there, no call. That week 7 game against the Giants last year, where it was just like one of the refs wanted the Giants to win, wanted the opponent to win so bad I've ever seen in my life. This the same referee crew that's going to be a part of this game as well. And remember, that game was in FedEx Field last year. This time it's in New Jersey. So if anything, they may be even worse as far as giving the Giants all of the calls and giving us none of them. So just keep that into account, man. This is the referee crew from that Curtis Samuel hold and that Terry McLaurin phantom call that made no sense. Let's just go ahead and put that out there. Something that they just never called. They just decided to call it on Terry McLaurin for the first time in NFL history. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. My score prediction, I'm not gonna lie, I have us winning 24-13. But we'll see how that holds up. Definitely make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Let me know your score predictions as well and explain why you gave those score predictions. Do you see us going to 4-3? Do you see us starting a real hot streak, starting with that Falcons win and we go to win like 4 or 5 in a row? Or do you think we're going to end up playing like how we played against the Bears and let the Giants sneak one away from us? Please let me know about all of that in the comment section. Of course, if you want to support the channel, because again, YouTube is tripping right now, so you can donate to the $sign RicoScores Cash App if you appreciate all of this work and time and effort I'm putting in all of these videos. Also, that PayPal is WilliamHC94@gmail.com, and again, the Cash App is $sign RicoScores. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.